Something is very off here.
Yeah. 3 minutes. I'm supposed to start.
I don't see the live button though. Go live. Okay, get that. Okay. This is wrong. All right, it's the off night, and so we're all way off here on the off night. Hi, I'm Mark Sweetman. It's the off night, episode 109. Thanks for joining us. It's the night where comics and funny people get together and we discuss our lives, our gigs, and current affairs. Normally, we're introduced by my sidekick, Andy Jensen. Andy, if you can hear us, just log back in. Yeah, he was trying to come from Applebee's. He often comes to us from location spots. Sometimes it can be entertaining, but sometimes it can be very frustrating because we don't always get him here. So, Andy's not here. I'm going to start off. You want to go?
Yes.
I'm going to start off by introducing my wife. Every week, she writes a poem based on things in the news. So I'm going to let her read her poem, and then we'll introduce our guests. Here we go.
Current events, comics, and poets. Hi. All right, this week's poem on Memorial Day. I'm going to get right to it. How we educate kids should really perplex us. Another school shooting in the great state of Texas. Guns aren't the problem, say politicians insane. And French journalist Frederick was killed in Ukraine. From around the world at the Kharkiv front line, Zelensky showed up telling troops they're doing fine. Chaos from Liverpool, fake tickets, we're told. But pepper spray fans, now that's really bold. Tear gas to stop ticket fraud is not a good plan. This horror in Paris happened to soccer fans. Memorial Day, the last Monday of May. And we celebrate in an unusual way. We remember those who served and gave their lives by having barbecues and cheesy fries.
Susan Sweetman, everybody. Susan Sweetman. The only podcast with a poet laureate. There she is right there. All right, let's...
You're welcome.
No, I don't get it. I went in for a kiss and she said no thank you. Well, there we go. We just celebrated 39 years of marriage on Saturday. I took her to the Tiger game and they lost. So, like, they're now 4 out of their last 5. But when they lose, that's the game I don't like it. So, there you go. Anyway.
We took each other.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I guess if it had been a birthday gift, I would have taken her. But her birthday's on Father's Day this year. So, again, another wash. Okay. So, end of the 5th month. And I need my friends to help me out here. We're going to try to get Andy back on here. But until then, here's our resident New York correspondent. This is a Detroit-based show. And you know what? I like that Sam Ringfield for shopping.
Andy, excuse me, Mark.
So here's
can you hear me?
Good friend, long time.
Mark, my volume, the
Sam, what's wrong with me? Hit the button. Sam was supposed to come up at this point. Come on, Sammy.
staticky. I can't hear anything. It's my microphone is
I
awful.
got a new Wi-Fi router and everything. This is supposed to be working. All right. That looks right. Okay, stay with folks, because I'm also the technical director of this cast, and I'm not very technical at all. This will probably be in. There's that. I'm going to get rid of that. All right. All right, how come? All right, let's try another button here. What's wrong? when the game was still on, I hit the go solo button to the intro. And not only did it cut out Andy, but it also cut out Sam. So Sam should be coming in here. Nope, he isn't. And plastic. This just bothers me so much. Okay, Sam should be on screen. My everything indicates that he should be on screen. But let's see if I can add. I'm going to add Jason. Jason Grant. We'll have conservative
Hey,
on the
Mark.
show. And Jason is our conservative. Although it kind of tilts a little bit because he and Andy are both taxi drivers. So, he might slant it a little bit that way. All right, and that isn't coming in either. So let me try to get Sammy in here too. This is just
Yeah, your feed is really intermittent. It's very difficult to hear right now.
That.
Okay.
And then I hit this. What does this do for me? Very frustrating. Very frustrating indeed. 3 minutes in the show, and now it says Sam's device is not connected. I hit this. Nothing. I hit now Sam's back. Add to stream, so I add Sam. I just follow the instructions on the screen. Let's see what happens here. This is very frustrating for me.
That's better.
That's much better.
Much better.
I hear Jason, but I don't see. I hear Jason, but I don't see him. Do you see yourself on the screen, Jason?
I see
see
myself. Yeah,
I
I
see
see
him.
Sam.
Oh, and now I see. Now I see Jason. That's good.
I
You see
see dead
Sam?
people.
All right. I got 3 out of 4. That's not bad. Andy,
No,
if you can,
now,
if you
now
can
the
get us
volume's
through,
perfect. Now it's perfect.
Yeah, now it's good.
good. And all we did was sacrifice Andy, so I think we got a good show.
Hey, easy come, easy
if
go.
we can,
Well, there you go.
exactly. You know what? I'm beginning to think it was Andy that was screwing up the sound all these weeks. So now that he's gone and we can hear each other, I mean,
Beginning to? Look who's late to the party.
Well, I mean, I seem
Hello.
to have a pretty good connection. I'm sitting here in the faculty lounge of Camp Kevin Spacey, so we got a pretty good connection here.
God. We got a lot of 17-year-olds there or something.
Well, I don't really check the paperwork per se. We just take them at their word, and we go on from there. I mean, they told me they were 18. It's I guess whatever.
About 10 years ago, Spacey was on like 60 Minutes or something, and they said, "Are you involved with anybody?" And he said, "No," and he said, "Yes, yeah, I have a girlfriend," and he said it so quickly, it was kind of like, "I'm saying this because I have to. Now leave me alone." That's what it sounded like. It really did.
Went to the Rock Hudson dating agency, and
Right.
Rock Hudson doesn't get enough credit for what a piece of shit he was, because he knowingly gave people AIDS.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
yes, he did. No, it's you're right though. I mean,
It wasn't like he had it and I didn't know. It was early in that disease. No, he knew.
He knew exactly what he was doing. That's why I always loved Kinnison just absolutely shredding him. After he was gone.
I can't get enough of that.
And I remember people being mad at Kinnison. I think Elton John was the first one to come out and start sniveling about it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, first off, I've heard some of your humor, Mr. John, and I've been made aware of some of your antics off stage.
Wow, Mr. John. Fabulous.
Well, I mean, if that isn't the best gay porn star name ever from an English dude, I don't know what is. And,
well, there was always the famous Chinese porn star, Long Wang Hung Lo.
and the Korean gentleman, Cream of Some Young Guy.
I love that.
Yeah.
And by the way, damn tasty.
Oh, we've gone down a certain highway.
Let me say something.
And then there was the Madison Avenue gay name, Lip Smackin'.
Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
By the way, if you haven't seen it, please go see Top Gun Maverick.
I've heard it's good.
It's great.
Really?
You're legally deaf when you leave, but other than that, it's great.
Now, Top Gun, the original, 23, 33, whatever. How many years ago was that? 37 years ago? That was horrible. I posted on Facebook. I said this would have to be better. It would have to be better by means of if you took a camera outside and just started shooting it, it would be better than the original.
By the way, and the cast is better. You got Jennifer Connelly, you got Val Kilmer, and,
Val
and,
Kilmer's
and, and you know who else you got? You got what's his name? Shit, I can't. Something Pullman, but it's Bill Pullman's son.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool. John Hamm is in it too, I heard.
John Hamm is in it, and he's great. The cast is wonderful. Cruise is terrific.
Wow.
Really terrific in a very different role than he had in the original. He's not, it's really something. We enjoyed it immensely.
Wow. And it's going to be, I can't go back and watch the first one to get caught up. You know what I mean? So I hope I can catch the
Gayest
film.
movie ever.
Now I got to go back and watch. See, now
No, not Maverick.
No, I know the first one you're talking about.
Ever.
See, now I got to go back and watch it with that in mind because I hated it so much and I wasn't even there.
Guys playing volleyball in the desert sun. Are you kidding me? I'm straight and I got a Woody.
You know what I hated about
Woody Harrelson is what I meant.
What I hated about the film is they had two songs, "Take Your Breath Away" and "Highway to the
Oscar winner.
And I don't care. And
Highway
to the Danger Zone. I don't care if it was an Oscar. It's winner for best song. What was done was overused. You watch that film and you don't tell me that you don't get sick of both of those songs by the end of the film.
I've never gotten sick of Highway to the Danger Zone.
It was useful in the Archer series.
I love that song.
Oh, it's too much for me. Maybe it was.
I love Kenny. By the way, you know what's really funny? Loggins and Messina, right?
Yep.
Messina was the big deal when they started.
Yes.
Jim Messina.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And now it's like it's Loggins and what the fuck's his name?
It's like Garfunkel doesn't exactly have a spot in the
Have
Hall
you
of
seen
Fame
Garfunkel lately?
Yeah.
What is it?
Holy shit.
Well, time.
What is it?
No. I understand time. No. He's completely bald. Yeah. And I'll tell you what he looks like. There's a Jewish picnic, and somebody says to me, "Is that your Uncle Nathan?" Yeah.
Yeah. He heard about it. We had to invite him.
Yeah, he drove my Aunt Estelle, so we had, it's awful. I want to tell you a joke I heard.
All right.
Many years ago, and I guarantee you will laugh at this joke.
Okay, I'm in.
So this guy goes to a senior citizen home to see how his father's being treated, and he says to his father, "How are they treating you, Dad?" And he goes, "Oh, they're treating me great. The people who work here are wonderful, especially the orderlies. They're fantastic. Let me give you an example. They have great senses of humor." He says, "You see that guy over there who can barely walk? They call him Speedo. And you see that guy over there who can barely walk? He's got like because he's blind, he's got like a cane with a red tip. They call him Stevie Wonder. And me, I haven't had sex in 30 years. I'm the fucking Jew."
Oh, God.
That joke is money in the bank.
It's a variation of the Scottish.
Yes.
You shag one goat.
Well, that's like there was a great Playboy cartoon, which we now sorely miss, but there was a great Playboy cartoon which showed a guy dressed like a bum sitting on a park bench next to a guy who's well dressed and looking at the bum in horror. And the bum says, "There I was, a pillar of the community, widely respected, highly revered, but let that same man suck just one dick."
I always thought one of my favorites was the young couple standing at the wishing well with the young lady's bazooms had apparently gotten rather large very quickly as they had blown right through her dress top, and she's just looking at the guy with her hands on her hips going, "Satisfied?"
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I'll tell you the one I like. It shows a jury at a trial, right? and one of the people in it has got his necktie in his hand, pulling it like he's hanging. Okay, and the judge says, "Just read the goddamn verdict."
And
Man,
of course,
I miss those cartoons.
I
Those
miss them greatly.
who could ever forget the perhaps the our favorites is the egg and the chicken lying in bed with the chicken looking rather satisfied, smoking a cigarette, and the egg with its arms crossed, going, "Well, I guess that answers that question."
Also, there's another one that shows a guy with a sword dipped in blood, and he's writing something, and laying next to him is he's writing something dipped in blood, and there's a guy next to him with a sword laying dead, and you see he's writing, "The pen is mightier."
When I think of Playboy cartoons, one that always comes to mind is it's a cartoon of a guy slightly opening the door, and you can see through with the chain still on the door, and you can see outside are two police officers behind a plainclothes detective, and on the inside of the room you see he's holding a naked mannequin, and behind him are just dozens of other naked mannequins, and and the guy at the door says, "Mr. Wilson, we're from the store's detective agency. I think you know why we're here."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Oh.
Oh man, that's great. Oh,
I think you know why we're here.
I had a friend who, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go on.
I have a friend. I don't know if you know this guy. He's a comic, Bill King.
I've heard the name.
From DC.
Yes.
Okay, so Bill, nice, really nice man. I don't know why I felt compelled to say that, but he is.
Okay.
Bill was head of, as a job that kept food on the table, was head of security for a department store in DC. And one night they were doing inventory, and there was a woman who worked there, and she sees a guy who works there walking towards the exit with 6 mink coats. And she thinks he's just doing inventory. And she goes, "Hey, Luther." Hi. And he sees her and drops the coats and runs out. So the next day, Einstein returns to work. And she now realizes what's going on, and she calls Bill. And Bill brings the guy up to his room, his interrogation room. And Bill had this process or this method of getting someone to own up to their crime. He would walk around their chair very slowly, over and over, and then wheel on them and go, "What were you doing?" like that. Mm-hmm. And the person would panic and start, like that.
Right.
So he does it to this guy, and he walks around. He goes, "What were you doing here last night at 10:30? You weren't part of the inventory." And the guy says, "You're going to love this." He goes, "Man, I don't know nothing about no coats." And Bill says, "No one mentioned coats."
Coats, yeah.
And the guy says, "Shit, I've been set up."
Just like the former mayor of Washington, D.C.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Oh,
my mayor.
Marion Barry, one of the greatest mayors.
Yeah.
Since
come on,
LaGuardia,
baby. Let's do some coke. No, I don't want to. Come on, baby. Let's do. I love you. Let's do some coke. No, I don't want. The cops burst in. I think you're the greatest woman. FBI, freeze! And he goes,
"Bitch, set me up." As he's blowing out a big hit of crack.
By the way, one of the saddest things about that was, until he became a dope addict, he was a great mayor.
Very quotable.
But I mean, a great mayor. He revitalized a section of DC that had been like in the garbage pail for years. Yeah. He revitalized the schools, but he became a dope addict.
Yeah. And I'm sure Kwame Kilpatrick, whose party skills were unquestionable, but
best of the best.
If he just didn't have that last soiree at the Manugian.
Well, Kwame called Mayor Barry and said, "So how do you do that again?"
Kwame's a man of the cloth now. I think Marion Barry is too, isn't he? Didn't he go?
No, no. But the thing about I'll tell you something about Mayor Barry, and I still call him Mayor Barry. The thing about him is, if he ran for mayor, well, he's too old. Well, I think he might be dead. But if he was like 75 and he ran for mayor now, he'd win.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all. In fact, after he became mayor, after he lost his mayoralty.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word, but after he lost
it, it is a word now, baby.
There you go.
That's right. Lexicon this, bitch. After that, he ran for what was it?
Council seat.
He ran for the leader of District 8, chairman of District 8, okay, which was a district of poor black people, and he won in a landslide, won 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And they said, and somebody interviewed them and said, "Doesn't it bother you that he was a crack addict?" And he goes, "He's not a crack addict anymore. He's clean. He's shown us what you can do if you have the strength of God on your side." You know, and a dealer who's in jail. No, but
he died in November 2014.
Well,
wow, he's really dead.
Gone but not forgotten.
I tell you what, I don't think our mayor gets enough recognition. Detroit, Michigan is the most black city in America.
Yes, it is.
Oh, Dugan's done a great job.
More than Atlanta, more than Memphis. It's the most black city in America.
Yes, Atlanta has a very strong black population, but not large.
Yeah. So anyway, and he won the mayorship with a write-in candidacy on a ballot that had another guy named Mike Dugan. They actually found another guy to run it because they wanted to split the vote. And so he was the write-in candidate. This guy was the on the ballot candidate.
Who was the real opponent in that one? I remember this. I can't remember the other guy.
Wasn't it Sam Riddle?
Yes, it was Sam Riddle. Yes,
it wasn't Ed Driscoll.
No.
I just like saying.
But anyway, so to me, this is the greatest politician of all time. Not only was he a white guy that won a majority black city, but he did it as a white-in candidate with another guy on the ballot with the same name. That is just, to me, that is astounding. Well, that's never going to happen again.
Was he an effective mayor?
He still is. He's still the mayor.
I was
he's in his third term, and he hasn't lost by more than 70%, I think. Since
I was in Detroit 2 hours ago. Yeah. The big movement festival is going on, and if you were in Detroit downtown right now, it's amazing. The music is revitalized. Cranking. Everyone's having a great time.
It's the only parts. There's still some very
some dicey sections,
parts of the city, and it's all has to do with basically the federal tax code that allows people to depreciate these properties and profit from people's poverty, basically.
That's been the problem with the riverfront for 30 years, is because they've had some of the ugliest property in the world on the riverfront that should be torn down, because Detroit has a great riverfront. I don't need to tell you that. You know that.
Well, you heard what Ralph Wilson did, didn't you?
No, what was that?
Ralph Wilson owned a dairy here in Detroit.
Yes.
And he became rich and famous, and probably more famous because he owned the Buffalo Bills when they went to 4 Super Bowls.
Oh, that Ralph Wilson. Okay.
Ralph Wilson. Yeah, he's a Detroiter, but Ford already owned the Lions, so he went out and bought the Bills.
Right.
And went to more Super Bowls than the Fords did, so that's kind of a source.
I've been to more Super Bowls than
that's
the Fords
true.
have.
Wow, that's funny.
But anyway, when he died, in his will, he left Erie lakefront property in Buffalo and Detroit riverfront property in Detroit to be used for parks, communities, municipal parks.
Nice.
That whole strip between what used to be the Joe Louis Arena and the Ambassador Bridge, is going to be a park. Is going to be a park now.
I was just down there.
That's going to complete the riverfront. The riverfront is going to be walkable from the Ambassador Bridge to the Belle Isle Bridge. Completely walkable.
I remember a time the only thing that was down there was the boblo boat and all the bodies that were underneath it. You know, because that used to be the place where the police would threaten to bury you. You know, because again, I'm sure you gentlemen remember there was a time when the Detroit police and even the Grosse Pointe police had a way of settling issues.
Oh yeah.
I remember back in the 70s when they're saying, well, the last time he was seen, he was in the custody of the Grosse Pointe Police Department. They're like, we released him. Don't know what happened to him. Could be anywhere.
Did you ever see the series? I can't remember which service it was on, but it was called Low Winter Sun.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you ever, that was spectacular. That was a great series.
Yes.
Because they didn't, I mean, you know, I don't think the cops are as astute as the crooked cops. The real crooked cops in Detroit are not nearly as intelligent as the ones that they portray in the fiction.
Well, we do of course remember when they were running the cocaine and heroin ring out of Detroit City Airport.
Yes,
and he did have the good sense to marry Coleman Young's niece.
Well,
I mean, that's a little.
You know, you've had some amazing mayors: Coleman Young,
Kwame
Kilpatrick, and one of my hometown boys, Dave Bing.
Yep.
And Mayor Archer.
How was he as a mayor, Dave Bing?
Dave Bing, well, he
did the best he could with the machinery at hand.
Right. Once he left the Pistons, he started a steel company.
He was filthy rich.
Yes.
He had a steel company in Detroit. Yeah. How could you not be rich? You know what I mean? But and it was perfect. He had the perfect timing. He did steel. What's his name? Vinnie Johnson and Bill Lambier went in together and had a crate company. They made shipping crates and cartons. And this is very unglamorous stuff. We had a guy here in town named Alex Manoogian. Masco Corporation is his company. And he says, you would not believe how rich you can get building the stuff that's boring.
Yeah. Well, he's the one who owns the Ambassador Bridge, and he used to own the train station until he sold that to the Ford.
No, you're thinking of Matty Maroon.
I'm thinking of Maroon. You're right.
Maddie Maroon's different than Manoogian.
You're right.
Do you remember the story about Alex Karras?
Yes.
I know a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
That he was getting, that the guy opposite him on the football, you know, whoever, they're playing the Bears.
Okay.
Yes, Dick Butkus.
And he was just kicking Karras and pinching him and gouging him. And Karras was like boiling mad. So what did the Bears do? They sent in Karras's brother, Ted. In the same, and Karras was legally blind almost without his glasses.
Right.
So they send in Ted Karras, and on the snap, Alex Karras jumps up and starts beating the shit out of his brother. And you could hear his brother go, you know, Alex, it's Ted. He goes, yeah, that's bullshit.
Well, we have to remember he's just Mongo, just pawn and game of life.
He's dead, right?
Oh,
yeah, he's
sadly,
dead.
yes. One of the greatest
before
actors
before he went to Hollywood, he was a huge pitchman for Detroit Products in Detroit.
Yep.
And we have a local soda called Faygo. And they came up,
Vago or Bago?
Faygo, Faygo, Faygo.
Uh-huh.
The Fagenson brothers, Jewish family, had they made what do you call it? Food coloring and toppings, frostings, and things.
Shit that'll kill you.
Shit that'll kill you. And the soda business was just a side business, but it became their main. Company was the Faygo Beverage Company. But Alex Karras used to do it when they came out with a diet brand. Joan Rivers and Alex Karras and Lily Tomlin, they did ads for him. But the one that Karras did was he's sitting there, and the announcer goes, "Alex, what do you have there?" He goes, "Oh, it's Diet Faygo. I love Diet Faygo. It's got all my flavors, and it's diet. And, you know, it helps me with my diet." He goes, "Alex, what about the pizza?" And Alex is holding, on the other hand, Alex is holding a slice of pizza. And he goes, looks at the guy, looks at the camera, goes, "Faygo doesn't make pizza."
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
I love that. It's such a great ad.
Alex Karras was on The Tonight Show, and he's sitting next to Tony Randall.
Oh, that had to be great.
And he lights up a cigar. And this is when you could smoke on, on TV. And Tony Randall goes, "Do you know how many people you kill when you light that cigar?" And he looks at Tony Randall and says, I can think of one I'm going to.
Oh God! Talk about another one there. Snap his chicken neck and make the world a better place. It never was a
Tony
Tony.
Randall was amazing for an amazing reason. He had the same wife for 47 years.
Yeah, how many boyfriends?
No, that's not true. He was
Really?
hung like French bread, but I hear. No, he was actually straight, but he was an annoying straight guy.
Oh yeah.
No, he was prissy, but he wasn't gay.
Right. No,
Tony
I hear
Tony
the
Randall
effeminate straight guy.
When I think of Tony Randall, I think of he was the guy that all the talk shows would call when they had a guest
empty. Yeah, they needed
two people they would call, him and Regis Philbin.
Yes.
And they stopped calling Regis Philbin because Regis, little secret, is a dick.
Oh, hey, don't forget Toadie Fields before she lost the leg. I mean, in fact, one of the best appearances she ever had was the first time Kiss was on the Merv Griffin show, and Gene Simmons was pretending to be menacing, and she goes, "You're just a nice boy from the Bronx," and he goes, "I'm the servant of Satan." And she goes, "Honey, you can't hide the hook." And
oh my God,
yeah, and just blew him right up.
You know what his real name is?
I forget, but Haim, yeah.
Haim Vick. And Paul Stanley's real name is Paul Stanley Eisner.
Yeah. I thought Gene Simmons was Jewish enough.
No, not close. No,
it was back when Merv Griffin would have Merv Griffin had John Lennon and with Chuck Berry on. I don't know how Merv Griffin did this, but back in the day, he'd get these incredible rock bands to come on his show.
I did a comedy show with Pat Paulson.
Oh yeah,
and Pat Paul, what a nice man. Jesus.
Yeah, I did a show with him.
You know, it's funny. We're talking one day, and I said, "You worked with Will Gear." He goes, "Yeah, he's a nice guy, big fag, but nice guy." Big fag. I love that. Big fag, but nice guy.
Was he Grandpa Walton? Is that the Will Gear we're talking about?
Yeah, okay. and Pat Paulson said to me, he said, people don't know this, but Grandma and Grandpa Walton were both gay.
Well, you could see it in Ellen Corby. I mean,
you could see her. You could see her crotch. Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't she in Celluloid Closet when they were going over some of these?
Yes.
The matrons. I did not understand the sort of the hidden lesbianism that had been in so many of these films, and they started showing these, and it's like, oh, it screams at you, if I can say that.
Hidden.
Yeah, I mean, no, not hidden at all. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yes. And the thing is, once you start calling a woman snatchy.
I didn't know you knew my aunt, but okay.
A lot of very few men do.
Well,
what?
Few men do is also my favorite Chinese dish.
If you take the word snatchy, put an Irish name on the other end of it,
Snatchy O'Houlihan,
Snatchy O'Shea, Snatchy McGee. That's perfect. That's comedy gold right there. I'm Snatchy McGee. Snatchy McGee.
Hey, Bob, I hear you're feeling crotchety. What?
Well, I like a warm ham on my opening. That's for certain.
That's funny.
That's a joke that's older than it's older than me.
When I worked with Paulson, we worked at the not the comedy. I forget what it was called. The one that was owned by Ron D'Annunzio in Atlanta. You know what I'm talking about.
The Punchline. D'Annunzio was the Punchline.
Well, there was another comedy club in town.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't last long. It lasted about a year. But they put you up in this gorgeous 3-bedroom condo. I'll tell you who I worked with. I worked with Pat Paulson and Chuck Wood. Remember Chuck Wood, the ventriloquist?
I sure do.
Yes.
Yeah. Worked with them. And Pat Paulson was great. We went to go food. It was a condo. So we went to go food shopping. And Paulson said, between you two, who can cook? I said, I can. He said, all right, I'll take care of the groceries, but you do the cooking. I said, oh, I love to cook. That's great. Yeah, you bet. No problem. So we're driving to the, they provided Pat with a car. And he said, I don't want to drive. So Chuck, since he's cooking, you're going to drive. And it wasn't like, he wasn't giving Chuck a choice. Sam's doing all the cooking. You're going to fucking drive. So as we're driving to the grocery store, Pat says, "Man, I sure as shit hope we don't get killed in an auto accident for your sake." And I go, "What do you mean?" "Well, you know what the headline's going to say: Pat Paulson and others perish." I said, "You're right. That's exactly what it'll say."
Say
Pat
former
Paulson
presidential
and
candidate.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paulson gave one of the best lines ever about Ann Arbor when he was here, and I only remember a little bit of the show because I was really high. But he's like, "Yeah, I went to see the zoo, saw the duck." Yeah, I mean,
That's funny.
God,
Well, what he did at our show, was he did this great, and you reminded me of this when you said Merv Griffin. He had a 16 mil. This is how long ago this was. He had a 16 millimeter projector.
Yeah.
And it's the Merv Griffin show, and Merv Griffin is talking, and Doug McClure is sitting next to Griffin, and McClure is smashed. He's
As
so
always,
smashed, he's digging his finger into his nose and pretending to flick boogers at Merv Griffin.
There you go.
And
That's class.
he says, "Our next guest is blah 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 blah." And out comes Pat Paulson in blackface, a tuxedo, like a
Right.
like Al Jolson's about to sing "Mammy."
Right.
Okay. And I can't remember all the jokes. The only one I can remember is, in the Hebrew calendar, this is 5742. In the Chinese calendar, this is 4742. This means for 1,000 years, Jews did their own shirts. And at the end of it, Paulson does like a little dance,
Right.
and walks off stage. And Merv Griffin goes, "Listen, thank you very much. That was wonderful. The Dick Cavett show will be right back." And I said to him, I said, "Was Griffin pissed about that?" He says, "No, he thought it was great." He said, "The only bad part was I twisted." This is Paulson talking. "I twisted my ankle."
Well.
But watching Doug McClure literally stick his finger up his nose to the third knuckle was bizarre.
Class. Have you guys ever caught any of the Don Rickles when he would go on Dick Cavett's show?
Oh yeah,
which he would do every now and then.
Yeah.
And Cavett always tried to get the best of him, and it never worked out for him.
Oh, that was futile.
Yeah, because no, exactly. I mean, and I don't know if Cavett, because I never was able to really I like Dick Cavett in small doses because he's just so full of himself.
Yeah, he's too hard to take.
Yeah, but when Rickles would come on there and just take the piss out of him, it was something to behold. And,
well, you know what Rickles did? Not Rickles. What Cavett did, which was great, was the only person I can think of offhand who was a more pretentious asshole than Cavett was
Snyder?
Norman Mailer.
Okay. Oh God. Yeah. That's.
And Cavett said, I don't know what the conversation was. It's been too long. I forget. But it was essentially Cavett saying, "Well, if that makes you unhappy, why don't you take that piece of paper you have, fold it 5 ways, and stick it where the moon don't shine?"
Yikes.
And I thought, man, Cavett has balls. Because, seriously, because,
Mailer punch your ass out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Mailer, he did a terrible thing. You remember the prisoner Jack Abbott?
Yes.
Who wrote the book In the Belly of the Beast?
Yes.
Yeah.
He killed that kid, that 22-year-old kid.
Yes. He killed the waiter, was it? Or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the waiter came up behind him and said, "Can I help you?" And because he was in jail for so long, if someone came up behind him, he'd attack them.
Well.
And he killed him.
Yeah, I remember when
and
that
Mailer
happened.
said something, and after he said this, I don't mean that second,
Right.
but after he said this, he couldn't get on a TV show again. He said, "It's the price we pay for the creative genius of a man like Jack Abbott."
Oh.
And I forget what show he was on. I don't remember, but the host said, Are you out of your goddamn mind? He killed a man. What's wrong with you?
It
I
sounds
don't
like
care
something.
if he's Shakespeare. Are you nuts? Couldn't it was terrible.
That sounds like something Tom Snyder would say.
Well, it was Snyder.
Yeah, because Snyder would go after people, and that's why
But
people
see,
didn't
the only
like him.
person worse than Mailer to me is Susan Sarandon.
Really?
Well, yeah, she goes on TV and she goes, I think we should all vote. I'm going to cast my vote for Trump because I think it'll help foment the revolution. Now, if you go on TV and say, I'm going to cast my vote for Trump because I like him, because I think he's dynamic, because I think all that shit.
Right.
That's okay. I mean, I disagree, but that's okay. But don't say because it'll shake. Normally, you would vote for a Democrat, but this will shake things up. What are you going to view the revolution? You said it'll foment the revolution. What, are you going to watch it from your fucking townhouse?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then two cops in New York were murdered, like within a week apart, and she called them fascists. And boy, she had to walk that shit back. Oh my God.
Well, and meanwhile, she has armed guards and all manner sort of security to surround her.
And after she criticized after Trump, and she realized that she may be, because of her political leanings, made a mistake, and she criticized Trump. She was getting tweets like, "You're a little late, bitch."
Well,
literally,
you see that's why I gave Jane Fonda credit. I'm no fan of Jane Fonda. I'm no fan of her. But you know what? Later on in her career, later on in her life, she admitted that she wasn't particularly pleased with what she did, but it was part of a time. She never tried to deny it, but she also admitted that she owned it, and she admitted that in retrospect maybe wasn't the best thing in the world to do, but at least she owned up to it. And, she never tried to pawn it off.
I didn't mind her going to North Vietnam and all that. What I minded was asking our prisoners of war to apologize to the North Vietnamese. And I like her, but that really pissed me off.
But I never understood why we had to dislike what she does on the screen because of what she did.
No, that always amazed me too. That amazed me too. I didn't get that either.
I mean, I grew up around a lot of very activist Democrats. And so I believe that, guess what? If you believe in your politics, you're active about them. Period.
That's all. That's right.
And this is what she felt. I mean, again, I agree with you. I thought I didn't think it was a good move, but this is who she was. And this was also a weird time. I was explaining this to my nephew, who's only 22 years old, and he's trying to understand Black Sabbath music. and I'm pointing out to him, first off, they came from a horrible city in Great Britain. And this is a time when the Vietnam War is going on. If you wonder why this kind of music is popular, it's because, I mean, we're
Does he not like Black Sabbath? Does he not like Black
Sabbath? He loves Black Sabbath. He just didn't quite understand where they're coming from, because he's 22 years old. He doesn't really understand, stuff like War Pigs and why, even me, who's grew up, getting way too high. And that was the first song on the Black Sabbath album and whatnot. It's like you really just don't quite fathom what that period in time was like for this country. Not only Vietnam, civil rights, all manner and sort of political
that
activism.
Punk upside the head.
Well,
let him know what's what.
He's getting it, and
give him a little Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Do you think Will Smith will ever escape that day?
No.
Nope.
That is his.
Something. I don't either. But I'm amazed that both of you said. I agree with you, but I'm amazed both of you said no.
No, I don't think
that is his. That is his Michael Richards at the Laugh Factory.
Oh my God! My God!
Holy shit!
In other words, that shit will follow him around
forever
for the rest.
You know
of
what's amazing about the Michael Richards thing? I don't know if it's amazing.
I know what he was trying to do. YouTube.
He didn't think that what he said was terrible.
No,
he didn't. He thought, I'm playing like a racist, blah, blah. He had no concept of what he was doing.
Well, when guys would go out there, and I remember, one of the Jewish comedians said he tried to copy Lenny Bruce's nigger routine. and it did not go. I think it was Shecky Green who was saying he tried to do that routine.
Oh God, nice choice.
And it did not go over well. Turns out that there's only one guy who can do that routine.
And it was Lenny Bruce.
And it was Lenny Bruce.
And he died 58 years ago.
Yeah.
So let's give him a relax.
And if you're a Borscht Belt comedian trying to be edgy in the new era of comedy, this is not the right piece to introduce.
Since Shecky Green's real name is Sheldon Greenfield.
Yes.
And no, I'm not proud of it, but he did tell one of the great jokes of all time. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people say that Frank Sinatra is a bad guy, but that's not true. Let me tell you a story. I was at the parking lot in the Sands getting the shit beaten out of me. And it was Frank Sinatra who said, okay, that's enough.
At the Un Club, this is a more recent story. At the Un Club, it's a place where I feel safe, where I can try this stuff out. And I was telling a story about my daughter and the music she listens to, and I just brought up one of the lyrics, and the particular lyric has the N-word in it, and so nobody had it, and so I mentioned it, but that really wasn't about the joke. Wasn't so that I could use the N-word. I was just quoting the lyric that she sings along to. And I'll use the word trigger because it rhymes with the word that I use.
Yes.
So you'll know what I was saying. The lyric is suck a trigger dick or something. and that's the chorus. So they sing all about this. You bitch, you bitch, you bitch, you whore, you suck a trigger dick or something. Suck a trigger dick or something. And I didn't use trigger. And boy, did I hear about it!
Let me tell you something.
And they said no context. It doesn't matter the context. That word is off.
That's my daughter. My daughter's African American.
This wasn't my daughter saying it though. This was audience. But
my daughter.
Audience members.
I can't quote someone saying
That's what I was doing. I was quoting what my daughter was listening.
Someone saying that word. She goes, "Don't use that word."
Well, and the word faggot is not far behind. And again, as someone who was called faggot ever since I was a kid, I say, go ahead, use it. I believe in Richard Pryor's attitude that, take the power away from it. I don't give a shit. If you want to use it in a malicious fashion, I think it shows more about you being an asshole than anything.
Well, here's what the bit, because that was 3 weeks ago. Now the bit has grown into, I replace it with the word trigger.
Yeah, but we all know this. We all know what the word is, though.
I think that the word faggot draws more ire than the N-word because there's a whole group of young African Americans in entertainment and in life who use the N-word. Yeah. And I asked one of them, there's kids in my neighborhood who are black. And I said, when you use that word, you're not saying it like people of my generation saying it, right? You're saying it like that guy.
Right.
That dude.
Right.
Right. And
they say, yeah, that's it. I said, so even though you are niggers, it doesn't really. And they beat the shit out of me. No, but see, that's what I know. That it to them it means it's like saying, look at this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at this fella, and so it's. But my daughter, I can't say the word. But I think faggot is more of a pejorative because the N-word is used more in common conversation among certain people.
That might be true, but
there was a great skit before Larry Wilmore and Stephen Colbert left the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. They did a great bit where they go and interview a guy, and basically it was Colbert took Larry Wilmore with him because he couldn't use the N-word. So anytime that came up in the interview, Colbert would be moving along, he'd say, and then he'd want to use the word, so he turned to Larry, and Larry would go, nigger. and then Colbert would keep the conversation going.
That's hysterical.
I thought that was such a great bit.
I want to tell you something. That is some farm team that Jon Stewart put together.
Didn't he? That was really something else. Hey, look who's back.
It's Andy, everybody.
Hey.
I finally made it back on here.
Wow, fresh out of parole, huh?
That's right. I'm out. I'm free. Wait a minute.
Are you bicycling? Where are
No.
you?
It sounds like he's got that plane from North by Northwest trying to dive
That's
bomb.
right. No, man.
Well,
I came from Maverick, man.
Well, as long as he's not 500 feet from a school, he should be okay. I don't know how he does the Santa Claus thing,
Well,
but you know.
Earlier in the
I'm
show,
allowed to be next to schools.
Andy, earlier in the show, Sam gave Top Gun Maverick 5 stars.
Really?
Oh,
Five
yeah,
out of
my
five,
God,
yeah.
yes.
He loves it. He says we all got to go see it.
By the way, did you see what it pulled in for the weekend?
Probably
Yeah,
the
that's
top
pretty-
draw.
pretty intense.
123 million.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that'll get Tom Cruise 3 more movies.
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
He was terrific. And I'm not a fan of his because of Scientology. But
Yeah.
he is, no, I mean, listen, you're a great actor. But what about those women that you put in cellars?
Yeah.
I think they bump into Kevin
Yeah.
Spacey's ex-paramours and then go off and breed in some strange, peculiar way. I mean, that's...
Well, the reason I gave you my call name Townie, so that's my new Maverick sort of ace flying guy.
Your call name?
Yeah.
Townie. All right.
So should we all get Maverick names now?
I think you should. I went to see the movie. There's only 2 things about the movie I didn't particularly believe. It was unbelievable. One, I never go to the theater and watch Maverick because I had a 2-year-old who was in a 19-year-old body who was not only mouthing the words to the movie because he already watched it twice, but couldn't sit in his chair like an adult. He kept moving around. He kept doing all like rocket sounds and stuff. I mean, I was just like, okay, I don't know what he was trying to, it was like the guy was on Ritalin or something, or an extensive amount of Mountain Dew.
Time to give him a little Will Smith action. You know what I'm saying?
I was just about to say, box his ears in. Yeah.
Can I say something about that whole situation? That is 4K resolution and a Sony soundbar.
Wow.
Because of that, I can control my volume. I can sit as close or as far or wherever I want to the screen, and I don't have to put up with all the shit that you get at the theaters.
I mean, that guy to me is a justification for shooting somebody in the theater.
I'm going to tell you
the
something.
reason.
I don't know what it's like in Detroit, but in New York, the audience disciplines itself.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to 12 movies this year. Okay. I have not had one person who had to be told, and I know I'm jinxing it. I have not had one person who had to be told to be quiet.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
not
are great.
once, not ever.
Well, now I got to tell my movie experience in Harlem when I was there a couple years ago. With my son.
Yeah. Well, I thought the guy was going to start speaking to the film, But I think the thing is too, when you go into the IMAX, you get the really kind of bizarre kids do the IMAX thing. If you go to like a regular movie, they're not in there. It's the older people are in the regular movies because they're not going to pay the extra money.
That's true.
So I should go during school hours so that I'm only there with adults. Is what you're saying.
Go to school hour, and if you want to do the IMAX,
I tried that, but the police stopped me.
Yeah. But I tell you, there's 2 things in the movie that I think made it unreal. One is that Maverick still had pure dark hair, so I could tell that Tom Cruise is coloring his hair. So it's like,
that's not a fucking news flash.
No kidding.
He's 57.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. He should have.
But let me say something. My wife is 60. She'll be 65 in 2 months, and that's her natural hair color, brown.
Yeah. What I'm saying is they missed a beat in the movie where they could actually have him gray, darkening his hair.
But they did that with John Hamm in the movie, and they did that with Val Kilmer in the movie. None of them had gray hair.
Yeah, what I'm saying is one of them had to have gray hair. That's what I'm saying. Because they're 57 years old.
Not even Jennifer Connelly, who's 52.
Yeah, somebody had to have gray. That's what I'm saying. It's like
I think we call that willing
pass.
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. And what was there's like the second thing was the plot line was a bit like as we pointed out, the Death Star. So it was like you gotta go in this one alleyway. You gotta put it into this hole. Then you gotta second guy come through blowing the hole. So,
No spoiler alerts.
all right, no spoiler alerts. But there's a section of it just it was a little bit like Star Wars. So
Spock dies.
what's that?
I said Spock died. Oh, I'm sorry.
So I got to tell you my Harlem movie experience.
Yes, please.
So first, let me preface it by saying my son Ben and I have gone to 2 films together because he wanted to see them with his dad. These 2 films were Django Unchained
Love that
and
movie.
and Get Out.
Holy shit.
Django Unchained, he wanted to see that with me because he wasn't sure about whether he could see that film without me. He was younger, and it was like an R-rated film, and so so then I said, well, we got to decide what theater we want to see it in. I don't want to go too far out to where the audience is only all white and he's the only black guy there, because everybody it's a what's his name, Quentin Tarantino film, and there's going to be funny parts, and all the black people all the white people will be looking at the black guy to see if it's okay to laugh at those parts, and by the same token, we didn't want to go too far into the inner city because we wanted to be able to hear what was going on the screen without having people shouting out at the screen all the time. So we ended up going to the Star Theater in Southfield, which was 60-40 in his camp. And at the end of the film, a guy stands up, a white gentleman about in his 70s. He's putting on his jacket. He looks at me. Then he looks at my son, and he says to him, "We good now?" Because in the film, Django had killed all the white people, and
D'Artagnan, motherfucker.
Exactly.
By
So
the
anyway,
way,
so
that
now
was very hard to watch.
Now with
that was very hard to watch.
With that experience, now we go to see Get Out in Harlem, and we had an opposite reaction of most of the films that we would go to, where he was the only black guy in the theater when he'd go with us, and I and another white woman were the only white people in this Harlem theater, but she was with her black date. And so we thought that, but as it turns out, when you're in Harlem and the entire audience is black, it's not the racial stuff that they're looking at. It was the sexual stuff.
That's right.
It was very funny because the women were the ones that were going, "Oh, come on. Oh, that would never happen." It was just very funny.
I saw the movie Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Uh-huh.
And the scene, and I saw this in a movie theater, a huge movie theater in DC with a predominantly African-American audience. And there was a scene in the beginning of the movie where Clark Kent races home and beats the kids in the car to his house.
Right.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
So he's running, and there's a black kid in the audience who's like 15. And the audience is really quiet. The audience is watching this movie. And this kid goes, "That motherfucker is getting up." And the whole audience, including me, exploded laughing.
Well, that's funny.
And the kid never said another word. He was just like, "I ain't never seen anybody move that fast." By the way, if I talk like I just did, my daughter criticizes me for that.
Yeah.
"You can't talk like that," she said. So I said, "Why you got to be so mean, Mrs. Cassie?"
Are you appropriating? Are you appropriating her culture? Is that the problem?
No.
Well, it's funny you say that, because something I would like to say to Bill Cosby, besides "go fuck yourself, you racist, rapist piece of shit," is Cosby is very critical of. I told you this right in that documentary where they said, you have a pretty good show. He goes, "Yeah, we speak English."
Yes.
Right. So he's an asshole. He's an arrogant asshole. But he, in this movie, he's very critical of people like, well, I understand him being critical of Step and Fetch It. Okay. But he was critical of Rochester. And I wanted to I'd like to go up to Cosby and tell him, because I know he doesn't know it. Eddie Rochester Anderson never spoke broken English. He never said something like, Mr. Bennett Weesby, he never talked like that.
Right.
He had an accent.
Yeah.
But he said it like this: Mr. Bennett, you said we were going to the racetrack, and here we are still waiting. What are you going to do? There's nothing bad about that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
He spoke regular English.
He spoke regular English, but Cosby tried to buy the rights to Amos and Andy so he could stop it from being shown. And my feeling is, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you, Mr. GED? Let people watch what they want to watch and let them come out and make their own judgment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, I don't know if anybody who watches Amos and Andy goes, this is exactly what I think black people are like. So, let it go.
Well, it was originally a radio show, so it's like nobody saw them in
white
black
guys.
Well, the radio show was white guys, but when it was the television show, it was an all-black cast. Kingfish.
And to me, the thing that bothers me is the only one of them that in the TV show that was hard to watch was Lightning, the janitor.
Yeah.
Right. But Kingfish to me was just like a con man. His wife Sapphire was like this ever-suffering wife.
Yeah, Sapphire.
His mother-in-law. It's not horrible. It's not offensive. Andy was just a good-natured, kind of slow-witted guy, but he wasn't stupid. And Amos was a good-natured, smart guy. Drove a cab.
Yeah.
And there was another guy in the cast, although he wasn't in it every week, and he played, I don't know his name, but he played Sidney Poitier's father in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. So
Roscoe Lee Brown? No, it wasn't him.
No one nearly that famous.
No. Yeah, you're right.
No, it's not a name that we go, oh yeah, him. No, it's not that at all. But now here's something a lot of people don't know. The guy who played Step and Fetch It.
Here's some information.
And you remember how long ago he played this? This wasn't like 1990. He made $2 million in his movie career.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he also was a director of black films.
Yes.
Back when we had black cinema, and they made for every white movie they made a black version, and they made tons of money. And it was Stormy Weather, which was like the first white financed
with Lena Horne.
Yeah, with Lena Horne. And the Hughes brothers. I mean, their dance routine is still pretty fucking epic. Again, there was an entire genre of black cinema that man was a part of, and that was, I mean, because I remember I used to watch a lot of this stuff because it used to be on cable way back in the day when they needed content. They'd put anything on, and it's like, oh, what's this? Check this out. I mean,
I just never understood, especially Cosby, because his whole thing was based on "I'm better than you."
Well, O.J. Simpson had a similar sort of attitude.
But he wasn't. He was in movies, but he wasn't making movies.
He was in some security film, but never mind that.
Say again.
I said I think he was in a couple of security camera pictures, but never mind that. Yeah.
Sidney Poitier, one glove on and another glove off. There we go.
Glove, ugly ass shoes, and a big knife. But
Sidney Poitier's parents in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner were played by Roy E. Glenn Sr. and B. Richards.
B. Richards. B. Richards was a very famous African American actress, very highly revered. Yep.
Yeah, and
I always wanted to see a movie where, whenever they did shows like this, the father was always kind of gruff and bullying the black father, and the black mother was always kind and tolerant and sweet and a peacemaker. I wanted to see just one where the mother looks at the father and says, "I will fucking knife you if you don't shut the fuck up."
Oh hell! I just got
will
a family
take
movie.
You down, you son of a bitch.
But
I've had it. All right.
Yeah.
He wants to marry a white woman. Let him marry a white woman. Go fuck yourself.
Apparently,
by
you
the
knew my
way,
mother. Yeah,
you-
that's the way she used to talk
You
to my
remember the
dad.
movie Terms of Endearment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember the woman who played Jeff Daniels' paramour?
Yes.
She killed herself,
Oh wow.
like when she was 43 years old.
The actress?
Yeah,
Wow.
Kate Charlison.
Wow.
I look at IMDb all the time, and so I look up these members of the cast who I don't know. I'm not, and yeah, she could, and it turned, and so I tried. Why would you kill yourself? She was bipolar. She had deep-seated depression issues.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Been
terrible.
there, done that. Been there, done
Really
that. Yeah.
terrible.
Well,
Yep.
speaking of that, did you guys talk about The Offer yet?
No.
No.
I love
No.
it. That is
That's a Mark Sweetman recommended it, and my God, I didn't think it was going to be that good, but it's fantastic.
I knew you'd
Oh,
like
the
it.
one about the making of the
It's about
Godfather.
the making of the
Yeah,
Godfather.
they have a great cast, and it really is good.
Which
the guy who's
streaming?
playing
Streaming
Robert
service?
Evans is great.
My sister's so stupid. She thought that The Godfather was a movie about James Brown.
Ah!
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Why?
funny.
Thank you.
That is funny.
Oh yeah, and no, the guy who played Goose's son in Maverick plays the lead
Miles
producer.
Teller,
Miles Teller, yeah.
who
He's
was
good,
great,
too.
by the way,
He was
in
great.
Whiplash.
Yeah, he looks to me like a young not Victor Mature, but the guy from Cape Fear,
Robert Mitchum.
Robert Mitchum. He looks like a
You
young
mean the-
Robert
the-
Mitchum.
Oh,
The
you're
first
right.
Cape Fear.
I didn't see that until you mentioned it. Yeah, you're right. He does.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing about Robert Mitchum. There's a
pot
place
smoker.
in D.C. called the Market Inn, and it's near the waterfront. Great food. Always mystified me. They charge you an extra 50 cents for blue cheese dressing. I never understood that, but the food was sensational. And I'm at the bar. God, this is 45 years ago. I'm at the bar, and Robert Mitchum is standing next to me. And I go, "Excuse me, Mr. Mitchum?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "I just want to tell you, I'm sure you've heard this before, but you're a terrific actor, and it's really an honor to, watch you work." And he goes, "Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that." And that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, buddy, let's get some chicks. No.
No.
I just wanted to tell him I admired his work. And he was very gracious. He said, "Well, that's nice of you. I appreciate that." And we clicked glasses and toasted. And I thought, this is a great moment for me. I'm so fucking happy. 5 minutes later, a guy is drunk and walks up to this is funny. Walks up to Mitchum and goes, "Well, look who it is. Big badass Bob Mitchum." And the first thing I thought was, this is not going to turn out well for this guy. This is not going to be a moment he's going to savor. And Mitchum, at first, completely ignored him. And then he goes, "You think you're a big shit, don't you?" And then Mitchum looked at him and said, "Sir, why don't you be on your way?" And Mitchum was big, by the way. Mitchum was like
Yeah.
6'2". Yeah, he was a big guy.
Yeah, he's a
So
big guy.
I'm a little guy. So if he had said that to me, I would have been on my way before he asked me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the guy says to Mitchum, "You think you're so and gives him a shot to the arm, like a shove.
Yeah.
And Mitchum turned around and punched him. And when I left the restaurant 20 minutes later, that guy was still laid out. And Mitchum said to me, "I'm sorry you had to see that." I said, "It's all right. He was being a jerk." He goes, "I try not to get into these things because it's going to be in the paper. Bob Mitchum in a brawl." He says, "But he was a mouthy little shit. So I decided to knock him out." And I said, "Well, everybody," I didn't know what to say. What am I saying to Bob Mitchum? "Well, that was wrong of you,
No.
So I said, no, what, So I looked at him, I said, "Well, I don't think he'll be bothering you again." He goes,
No.
"Well, I'm leaving now, and I don't see him getting up, so I think you're right." And he said, and then once again, so gracious. Once again, he looks at me and he goes, "Really, thanks a lot for the compliment." I went, "My pleasure, you big tub of shit." No, I said, "Fuck you." and the whore that birthed you. No, I said, my pleasure, anytime. So I go home and I'm living with this girl, and I said, you'll never guess who I saw. And she goes, you're right, I'll never guess. And I said, Robert Mitchum. And she, the first thing she said to me,
Who's that?
did
Who's
you give
Robert
him a hard time?
Oh, that's funny.
And I said, no, but I told him, if you want an easy piece of ass, come by my apartment. My girlfriend's here.
Oh, whoa.
I don't
Wow.
think we were together like another week after that. But
Well,
shut
No.
the fuck up. All right. I had a nice moment and she ruined it.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
yeah.
I tell you, that's the last
Anyway.
time I dated Kennedy.
Ah, very funny.
Unfortunately, it was Tom Kennedy.
Ah,
Oh.
the
And
game
who was
show
Tom
host,
Kennedy's brother,
Uh,
trivia people?
Tom Kennedy's brother.
Jack
um,
Nars.
How do I know that name? Who's Jack-
Quizmaster. He was a quizzer.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Just like Tom Kennedy.
Well, I feel like I'm on This Is Your Life. Who knows these guys?
I know Tom
Oh, my
Kennedy.
I do.
You
Tom
do,
Kennedy
man.
was Tom Kennedy was, what did he do? Concentration? I can't remember which
No,
game
no,
show.
that was Hugh Downs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tom Kennedy did something.
He
He was a-
did. I think 3 to 5 for armed robbery, but I can't. I
I was
can't
like, I
remember.
can remember the guy. It was like something.
we should do it.
I'll,
We should
I'll
do
tell
a
you
show.
what. I was on 5 quiz shows, and one of them was Money Maze, and the host was George Clooney's father,
Well, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Nick Clooney, who was a very popular radio and TV personality in the Cincinnati area.
Uh-huh.
Because George Clooney was born in,
Oh, that's
in Kentucky,
Right.
and he was. And I want to tell you something. You could search the globe, and you will not find a nicer guy than Nick Clooney.
Would Rosemary been his sister? Because
Yes.
wasn't Rosemary?
Yes, Rosemary Clooney.
It's George's aunt, right? I mean,
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And I'll tell you something. Nick Clooney had a I don't know what you call it, a charity, I guess. He brought African students over here to study, and he got them scholarships. He's a really sensational guy.
Wow.
Hmm.
Sounds like it.
Wow.
I said, I know I'm not African, but I have a big tuition bill. Didn't seem to matter. Son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah.
Mm.
One of the ones that was fun to be on was $25,000 Pyramid, because
Yes.
Dick Clark was the host, and he was a very nice guy. I had a terrible headache on the show. Gave me a neck rub.
Oh, nice.
He did. Gave me a neck rub.
Yeah.
And one of the contestants, one of the celebrities, was the guy who played Epstein on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I can't remember his name now, but what was his name?
I'm going through the mental Rolodex. I mean, I can see his face, and I can't come up with his name right now. He did stand-up comedy a little bit on the side.
Yeah,
as
he
well.
had curly hair.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
he had a big old fro. He used to do the Hungarican thing.
No,
Uh,
that was
No,
Robert-
you're right.
Robert Haggis.
Right there, you
Robert
go.
Hedges.
Yeah.
Robert Hedges.
Robert Hedges.
No, the Hungarican was Freddie Prinze.
Freddie Prinze, yeah, half Puerto
Yeah.
Rican, half. Yeah.
But let me tell you something about
So
Robert
did you
Hedges.
win on the $20,000
I won
pyramid?
I won 15,000.
Nice.
Must have come in
Nice.
handy.
I won 15,000 on that. I won 100,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Wow.
I won a trip to England, a trip to Greece, 10,000 in cash, and a bedroom suite and a car on Money Maze. And Money Maze was hard because you did it with your spouse, and one of you would go into the maze, and you had to direct them to the flashing pillar, and then they hit the button, and you win. And
Is this a spouse? Is this a spouse you're still married to?
oh God, no.
Okay.
No. But the thing that was interesting about this show, I should actually do a comedy routine. I mean, like a comedy film about this. there was another couple that during the audition, there was an audition where you went up against another couple, and whoever won the audition got on the show, right? So on the audition, we were the other couple was very religious, but it's that faux kind of annoying as shit religious. And so we were about to start the contest, and they said, "We need a moment of prayer."
Oh
And
God.
I was just like rolling my eyes, but my wife was ready to punch them both in the mouth. She said, "Do they think Jesus is going to help them win?"
A game show.
Yeah, a game
Yeah.
show? Are you kidding? I know there are
Jesus
people
is-
starving in Biafra, but Betty
Right.
here wants to know, please.
Someone's
So here's
boat
what
is
happened.
sinking in the South China Sea, but yeah, don't worry about it.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
this to me is very funny. They won one of the preliminaries, and when they won it, they looked at us like, "Nyeh." You know what I'm saying? Like, well,
Oh, yeah.
that's what. So then she went into the maze, and he had a director. So what you have to do when that happens, you have to be very patient, because she does not know where she's going. You're her eyes. So you have to direct her. And this is what happened. I'm cutting this to 30 seconds because it took longer. Honey, go left. No, left, honey. No, your left, not my left, your left. Honey, that's my left. Bitch, will you go to the left?
Sure.
And they were disqualified because he cursed.
That's funny.
And as they were being escorted out, my wife went, "Go with God."
Classic.
All right. Do we want to talk? Okay, we got let's see, 12 minutes left. Do we want to talk all about guns?
Rangers are
they
winning
playing who are they
2-0.
playing?
Carolina
Oh, so they
Hurricanes.
still got to play the winner of the Tampa Bay series, right? That's killed the Tigers every time they've gone to the World Series.
Well, that's kind of what's happening to Golden State. This they're playing for the right to lose to Golden State.
Golden State, yeah.
Although Boston kind of beat them down, they win this because they can shoot, but they can't shoot like Stephen Curry. That son of a bitch. Christ, he could fart a ball into the basket.
You know what's weird about the NBA? It always seems to be a team that is playing the type of basketball that is popular or winning at that time, right? Because when the Pistons won their championships, they were like holding teams to 79 points a game.
Rock'em sock'em, yeah, rock'em sock'em.
Exactly, and that was just, and so other teams tried to emulate that until it changed, and now it's and then it went for a while there. It was the big man. You had teams that won championships with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Willis Reed, Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yes.
So it seems like basketball trends that way. Sometimes you need 3 shooters on your team. Sometimes you just need a lot of defenders. But it just seems to go in sort of patterns.
Well, yeah, and I think what you have now are guys who are really good athletes who are also great shooters. Because there used to be guys who were really great shooters, but were like fat, which is out of shape, And Stephen Curry, I don't think. I have more fat on my teeth after a barbecue.
So you're thinking of like Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley,
When
right?
Exactly. You know that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We had a guy in Detroit that Detroiters loved, and he never would have made any team outside of Detroit. His name was Don Adams.
Oh my God! Yes.
Do you remember him?
Yes.
Fat, balding. He looked like the guy.
God. He looked like someone's uncle.
He looked like the guy that you worked at the plant with, but didn't want to have Thanksgiving dinner with. You know what I mean?
Because he would take every fucking ounce of turkey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love those days. I mean, the Pistons didn't win a championship till like 1987.
89.
89, 90. Yeah, when
89,
they
90,
did the
right.
repeat.
But I'm telling you, those 70s and 80 years before, well, they were still trying to build that team. God, was that
Ooh.
some fun teams.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Dave Bing and Bob Lanier, when they played, God, that was fun.
No offense to Detroit, but if Magic Johnson hadn't been hurt, that would have been a different series.
Yeah, but he was.
But he was.
At the same time, Isaiah Thomas was having
the
some
one
problems.
thing that's different in basketball than other sports is because you have so fewer players, right?
Yeah.
One player can make a difference.
The slogan "next man up" does not apply. Not when you have 12 guys.
No, and we had a great bench back then. We had a fantastic. We had
Vinny
John Sally,
Johnson.
VJ. We had the one token white dude who could actually get on the floor and soak up a couple of minutes. I remember the Chicago Bulls.
Who was the white guy?
I forget his name. He was funny. Remember, that's why they kept him on the team, because he always made everyone laugh. Chicago had Bill Paxson.
You're not talking about Chuck Nevitt, are you?
No, that's not it. I can remember the guy's face, but he was
the second team under
Daly.
No, not Daly. That's the second coach that won championships for us.
Herb Brown.
Herb Brown. They had that Rick, the guy who was the underhanded free throw shooter. His son played for us. He was the white guy.
Rick Barry.
Rick Barry's son played for the Pistons during that championship season. Do you remember what was his name? John Barry, I think.
Yeah,
well, I do.
Jon.
Yes, you're right. You're right, Sam. Yeah, he was our white guy that championship.
Yeah. And John Sally used to try his hand at stand up now and then. Back in the day.
John Sally did a benefit, which I performed at, for a kid who was burned, not alive, thank God. He wasn't killed, but he was burned up by some thugs who tried to get him to sell dope.
I remember that.
And they had and Spike Lee was there, and Dennis Rodman was there. So John Sally introduced me as Jeff Greenfield. And as I walked on stage past him, I said, "My name is Sam Greenfield." I wasn't mad, but he got it wrong. And it wasn't the first time that it happened. So Sally comes up to me after I'm done, and he says, "Sam, can I talk to you for a minute?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I struggled to get the names right, and I screwed yours up." And I said, "Listen, it's okay, but I'm not going to talk to you anymore." He said, "Don't be mad." I said, "I'm not mad. I'm 5'6" and you're 7'1". My neck hurts." That was the truth. I said, "I can't keep looking up at you. You're hurting me."
You heard a couple of things in sports. Dennis Rodman's daughter just became the highest paid women's soccer player ever.
Okay. Isn't that great?
That's Rodman's daughter.
And they're getting the same money as the men.
Yeah. Well, on the national team they are. I don't know about individual players on professional teams. The people that got negotiated for the same pay were the people that play for the national teams that go to World Cup tournaments.
Right.
Those players get paid the same. Now, if you play for the Washington MSL team and the Portland MSL team, I'm sure you're making completely different amounts of money. So
I would think so.
And the college teams have now sold completely out, but at least they're honest. They snaked a 5-star recruit that we had coming here to Michigan down to Texas A&M by giving him a Rolls Royce. So at least they didn't put it in his aunt's name and engage in the usual sort of subterfuge. Now at least the hypocrisy that is college sports can at least sort of, I don't know, we can lose that amateur drag that's been draped on it for so long now.
I'll tell you what I love. I love the fact, because I'm from New York, I love the fact that Kyrie Irving is now known to the world as a shit. Okay? James Harden is not a shit. His skills have eroded.
Right.
His skills have eroded, but he's not a bad guy. Okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving is a selfish shit that, I want to get paid a full salary, but I only want to play half the games. Oh, please. Yes. Yeah. Let's back up a fucking truck to your bank account. Are you nuts?
Yeah, we had a quarterback by the name of Drew Henson who used a similar approach. He's now working as I believe, a manager at a car wash somewhere near Topeka.
Is that true?
If it isn't, it should be. But that was his approach.
He
What was
works
his
for Ryan.
approach?
He
That
works.
I'm not
He
going to
works.
play?
He probably works for Ryan Leaf.
No, no.
Oh, at least he would be
no,
working.
No, he plays for Arch. He plays for Arch Leister's Enterprises.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, by the way, Arch Leister, goddamn good betting app.
Gambling addict.
Yeah.
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 You know what? We should have a show dedicated to sports
Arch
stars.
Leister?
Sports humor.
Sports stars
Absolutely.
sports stars and celebrities that are being convicted or serving time or
I'll
follow.
tell you someone. He wasn't a convict, but he was one of the and it amazes me. The guy I'm about to mention never gets mentioned as one of the biggest flops in the history of the NFL, and he is. His name was Gary Beban.
Oh.
He played for UCLA. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was drafted by the Redskins, which is why I know him. And he sucked so bad, I got a hickey when I watched him. Oh, he was awful. And you know what he said? This is a famous quote in D.C. I don't know how to figure out these pass plays they're drawing up for me.
Oh my God.
And I went, I said to myself, even if that's true, you don't say it out loud.
Well, there was also what his name was. It Marinovich? I can't forget what his first name
Todd
was.
Marinovich.
Yes, his
Todd
daddy
Marinovich.
had designed.
His father was
him
responsible for his downfall.
Exactly. He was going to be the football player of all football players, and stage daddy of the highest caliber.
I also think that, and I have no way of proving this. I also think that the reason he was a flop was subconsciously telling his father, "Screw you."
To go fuck yourself, right?
How about Mandrich?
You controlled my life since I was 5. You wouldn't let me eat McDonald's. I couldn't go out with my friends. Blow me.
Yeah, precisely.
Hello?
Hello.
Well,
my wife and daughter are both out. My wife went to a barbecue, and my daughter went out with a friend, and I just thought I heard the door open. Gee, I hope I don't get mugged.
Uh-oh, here comes the music.
It's the music. It's the closing.
Yeah, it's our closing music. If I could get it to work. Darn it.
Well, I think we answered that question.
That was gonna be our closing music. Oh well. Yeah. What can I say?
That wasn't Mitch Miller, was it?
No, that was Frank Sinatra singing Neil Diamond.
Did you know that Mitch Miller? Do you know how many famous rock stars, when Mitch Miller was in charge of Columbia Records, Mitch Miller turned down?
Oh, I'm sure plenty.
This is not American music. Yeah, here's one of his songs. I'm not going to sing it, but it was, oh, Katharina, there's so much of you for me to love you. You're so exciting and so inviting. Join a gym, learn to swim, eat farina."
Oh.
He scored.
Gosh.
He scores.
And my father said, and my father was, rock and roll aficionado, since he died like 3 years after Elvis hit. But he said, does this guy Mitch Miller know what rock and roll is? He said, my father said this. He said, no one sings that shit. Was he oh, Katharina? He said, what the fuck is wrong with him? And I said, well, he thinks that's good music. He said, well, he's an idiot. I said, well, yeah. I said, plus the fact he's costing Columbia Records a ton of money.
Well, I remember the commentary on Steve Allen, who would often hold himself out as a songwriter. And someone said, "Oh, he's a songwriter. How many songs?" He says he's written 3,000. He goes, "Good. Name one."
Oh, can I tell you something real quick? I know we're out of time. We'll stop and talk. Is that okay?
Then we can stop. We can stop and then talk. Let's say goodnight to everybody, and then we can chat after the show.
Okay, because I got a great Steve Allen story.
Oh, I got to hear it. I've got to hear
great.
it.
Well, if it's good enough for next week, we'll bring it up next week. So
no.
So goodbye, everyone.
No, I have to tell you this now.
No, what? Before we go off the air?
No.
We're at 90 minutes, so we're going to end the broadcast. Thank you, everybody. All right, everybody, shut up. Let me end this here. Thank you, everybody. We're here every Monday night. It's the off night. please join us. I always have the address on the Facebook page and the YouTube page. So join us if you can. And also, Sunday nights in Ypsilanti, Michigan is the Unclub. Tell anybody that is there that you heard about it on the Off Night Comedians podcast, and we'll get you in free. We'll get you a set if you need one, if you're a comic, and just let us know. Let's do some cross-pollination here of our two formats. And so we'll see you Sunday live at the Ale House, or we'll see you Monday here on YouTube and Facebook. And good night, everybody. On behalf of Andy, Sam, and Jason, I'm Mark Sweetman. Good night, everyone. Here we go.
Night.